I remember the morning my grandfather pointed to the sky just before sunrise. We were standing on the ridge together. It was cold. Neither of us had spoken in a long time. Then he said, "Kanuna, look, the dark does not fight the morning. It simply steps aside. That is what survival looks like. Not victory, not triumph, just the willingness to still be standing when the light returns." Welcome back. This is Indigenous Echoes, a place where the stories of our people are told by those who carry them. I am Kanuna Asgaya, an elder of my people, the Cherokee. And I am here to pass down the teachings and histories given to me by my father and my grandfather. And today, I want to begin differently.
Rusa, brothers, Labasa. Shano, here is a yo. Yuda, he is rather shinani banasi. Sa, Use.
Do you hear that? That is our language, being spoken to by children who were born into the 21st century. That is not something everyone expected to hear. There were people with laws, with policies, with scissors, with punishments for children who used the wrong words, who worked very hard to ensure that sound would eventually disappear. It did not disappear. That is what this episode is about. Not just what was taken, but what was kept, what was rebuilt, what is being rebuilt right now, today, as you listen to my voice. My grandfather ended every long story telling the same way. He would go quiet, let the silence hold everything he had said. Then he would look at whoever was listening and say, "Now, what will you do with the knowing?" That is the question I leave you with today. But first, let me show you where we are. Let us begin. 4 episodes, 3,000 years. In episode 1, we stood in the council houses of our ancestors. We learned how the clan system made belonging a birthright, not a privilege. We watched Sequoia fill 12 years of pages until a language had a written home. In episode 2, we watched America discover gold in our mountains and decide that our rights were negotiable. We went to the Supreme Court. We won. We watched a president decide the victory meant nothing. In episode 3, we walked the winter road. We buried 1 in 4. We watched our children being taken to schools that punished them for being who they were. And yet, here we are, still speaking, still here, still a nation. Let me show you what that looks like right now. The Cherokee Nation today, a portrait of a living people. There are 2 major federally recognized Cherokee nations in the United States today. The Cherokee Nation. The Cherokee Nation, headquartered in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, has approximately 440,000 enrolled citizens. That makes us the largest tribal nation in the United States by enrollment. Think about that number for a moment. 440,000 people. After everything. After the Trail of Tears. After the boarding schools. After the allotment policies that carved up our communal lands. After Oklahoma's statehood, the government tried to dissolve. 440,000 people. We have our own tribal legislature, our own courts and legal system, our own executive branch led by a principal chief and a deputy principal chief, our own healthcare system, our own educational programs, economic enterprises that fund services for our people. We are not a memory. We are a functioning government. The current principal chief is Chuck Hoskin Jr., who has held the position since 2019. The eastern band of Cherokee Indians in the mountains of western North Carolina, in those same ancient Appalachian mountains where our people have walked for 3,000 years. The eastern band of Cherokee Indians stands as a separate, federally recognized tribal nation. These are the descendants of the people who hid in the mountain hollows in 1838, the ones who refused, Tsalag's people. The Qualla boundary, their territory, sits in the heart of our original homeland, approximately 15,000 enrolled members. When you drive through western North Carolina today and you see road signs printed in Sequoia's syllabary alongside the English, that is them. That is what refusal looks like 200 years later. I have been to those mountains. I have stood in them and looked at those signs and felt something move in my chest that I do not have a simple word for. Pride is part of it. Grief is part of it. Gratitude is a large part of it. Gratitude to the ones who refused. Gratitude to Tsalagi. Gratitude to the mountain itself, which hid them when nothing else could. The language, the gift that keeps giving. The Cherokee language, Tsalagi Gawonihisdi, is classified by linguists as severely endangered. At its lowest point in the mid-20th century, roughly 50 years after the peak of the boarding school era, the number of fluent speakers had fallen to a few thousand elderly voices, people who were children when their language was punished, people who grew up watching their tongue become a secret. The boarding school policy did that, deliberately, by design. But something happened when our nation decided to fight back. And it started, as so many things in our story start, with Sequoia's gift. Sequoia's gift, 200 years later. Because our language has had a writing system for 200 years, a writing system built specifically for our sounds, there is an enormous archive of material in Cherokee waiting to be read. Legal documents, newspaper archives from the Cherokee Phoenix, letters between family members, government records, sacred stories, songs. All of it was written in Sequoia's script, all of it preserved, all of it accessible to anyone who learns the syllabary. This matters enormously. Many languages have lost not just their speakers, but also their written record. When the elders were gone, the language was gone. Our language has 200 years of written memory. Sequoia could not have known that the writing system he built alone in a cabin, dismissed as madness by his neighbors, would become a lifeline for his people's language 2 centuries after he completed it. My grandfather said, "Some gifts take generations to fully open." Sequoia gave us ours and could not have known how many ways would it save us. The Master-Apprentice Program. The Cherokee Nation developed what has become a model studied by indigenous communities around the world. The Master-Apprentice Program pairs a fluent elder speaker with a younger person who commits to spending hours every day speaking only Cherokee with that elder. No English, total immersion, the way a child learns a first language, not in a classroom, but in the breath of daily life. This program has produced new fluent speakers, people who grew up in English, who now dream in Cherokee. They dream in our language. The boarding school system tried to ensure that would never happen again. And yet here is a young person, raised in the modern world, walking into sleep with Cherokee words moving through their mind. That is resistance. That is beauty. That is the most powerful thing I can think of to say to anyone who tried to erase us. Cherokee Immersion School. Since 2001, The Cherokee Nation Immersion School has been teaching children from preschool onward entirely in Cherokee. Children who graduate are genuinely bilingual, fluent in both Cherokee and English. They can read Sequoia's syllabary. They can speak with elders. They are the generation that the boarding school system was specifically designed to prevent from existing. Current estimates suggest approximately 2,000 fluent speakers, with thousands more at various stages of learning. For the first time in more than a century, the direction our language is traveling may be changing, not downward, upward. My father used to say, "A language is not just words, it is a way of seeing. Each language sees different things, notices what other languages walk past. When a language dies, a way of seeing the world dies with it. And when a language comes back, so does the sight." The congressional seat, a 190-year-old unfinished promise. Now I want to tell you about a promise, a specific, written, legally binding promise that the United States has not yet kept. Go back to 1835, the Treaty of New Echota. The treaty was signed by 100 people in the name of 17,000. That treaty, the very document that stripped us of our eastern homeland, contained a specific provision, Article 7. It said the Cherokee Nation shall be entitled to a delegate in the House of Representatives, a seat in the United States Congress, written into the treaty. That seat has never existed. Let me say that again clearly, because I want it to land the way it deserves to land. The treaty that caused the Trail of Tears also promised us a voice in the government that removed us. And in nearly 200 years, through the administrations of every party, through every Congress, through every presidential promise about honoring tribal sovereignty, that seat has never been created. In 2019, our nation formally nominated Kimberly Teehee, a Cherokee citizen, a former senior White House advisor on Native American affairs under President Obama, as the Cherokee Nation's delegate to Congress. If seated, she would be a non-voting delegate, similar to representatives from Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and Guam. Non-voting, but present. Able to introduce legislation. Able to sit on committees. Able to speak on the floor of the House. The House of Representatives has not acted on the nomination. As of January 2025, Teehee was reappointed for a third time by Principal Chief Hoskin and the Cherokee Nation Council. The fight continues. My grandmother used to say that the most revealing thing about a person or a government is not what they promise. It is what they remember when no one is watching. A promise made in 1835, not yet kept in 2025. We are watching. McGirt and the land question, the fight that is happening right now. In 2020, the Supreme Court of the United States issued a ruling in a case called McGirt versus Oklahoma, and has sent a tremor through legal and political circles that is still being felt today. This case was brought by a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, but its ruling sent a tremor through every tribal nation in Oklahoma, including ours. The question at the center of the case was this: was the land promised to tribal nations in the 19th century, the land they were relocated to in exchange for their homelands, was that land ever legally ceded? Was the reservation ever truly dissolved? The Supreme Court said no. It said that much of eastern Oklahoma, land that had been treated as ordinary state territory for over 100 years, had never been legally removed from tribal sovereignty. The treaties still stood. The reservation had never been properly dissolved. The implications are vast. For criminal jurisdiction, for water rights, for land management, for the authority of the Cherokee Nation and other tribal nations to govern their own territories. This is not settled. This is being litigated right now. And the outcome will shape the legal landscape of tribal sovereignty in America for generations. Our lawyers are in those courtrooms. Our principal chief is at those negotiating tables. Our people are watching those decisions. We are not a people of the past, waiting to be remembered. We are a people of the present, fighting for our future. The young people, the generation they could not stop. I want to close with the young people, because they're the most powerful answer to everything that was tried against us. There are young Cherokee people right now, teenagers, college students, young adults, who are learning our language in immersion schools and then going home and teaching it to their grandparents. Think about that. The grandchild teaching the elder, not because the elder failed, but because the boarding school system had done what it intended, broken the chain of transmission for a generation. And now the grandchild is picking up that chain and handing it back. There are young Cherokee people right now who are learning our traditional plant medicines, who are studying the old ceremonial practices, who is digitizing the archive of Cherokee language documents so that the written record Sequoia gave us will never be lost. Young people are running for tribal office, arguing in courts, writing legislation, starting businesses that fund community programs, making music in Cherokee, making films in Cherokee, living their lives in Cherokee in the middle of the 21st century. They are not performing culture for an audience, they are just living the way our ancestors lived, with full knowledge of who they are, with full knowledge of where they come from, with no apology for it. My grandfather lived to see some of this. Near the end of his life, I sat with him one afternoon and he was quiet for a long time, looking at the mountains. Then he said, "Kanuna, I worried for a long time that we would not make it, that there would come a generation that did not know what they had lost, who could not feel the weight of the old words. But I was wrong to worry, because the land remembers, and the young people, the ones paying attention, they feel it through their feet. They feel it before they know what it is. And then one day they hear the language, or they see the syllabary, or someone tells them the story, and something in them says, 'There you are. I have been looking for you.' That is not a loss. That is a return. What justice looks like, and what you can do with this knowing. When we speak of justice for our people, I want to be specific about what that means. Not abstract, specific. Honor the treaties. The United States has signed over 30 treaties with our nation. Many have been broken, partially or wholly. Justice begins with taking those documents seriously, starting with the congressional delegate promised in the Treaty of New Echota, land and water rights. The McGirt decision opened important doors. Those doors need defenders. Pay attention to these cases. They matter. Repatriation. The remains of our ancestors and our sacred objects are held in museum collections across this country. Justice means returning them to the people they belong to. This is ongoing work. It matters. The language. Supporting Cherokee language revitalization supports the continued existence of everything our people are. There are apps, programs, and community funds. All of it deserves support. And for you, wherever you are in the world watching this, share this series. Not a repost. A direct message to a specific person, someone who would be changed by knowing this. Follow the Cherokee Nation, Cherokee.org, and the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, ebci.com, for direct news from our people. Download the Cherokee language app. It is free. You can begin learning the syllabary today. Look up whose land you are standing on. Native Land Digital, nativeland.ca, maps indigenous territories across the entire world. And carry this story, not as a sad thing, not as a guilt trip, not as something to feel bad about and move on from. Carry it as what it is, evidence that a people can survive everything that was thrown at us and come out on the other side still building, still teaching, still dreaming in a language they were punished for speaking. Carry it as a standard for what is possible, for what people can do when they refuse to become nothing. The mountains and the morning. We started 4 episodes ago in these mountains. We come back to them now. The Great Smoky Mountains, the Blue Ridge, the Unicoi Range, the backbone of the world. Our people have called these mountains home for at least 3,000 years. We survived the Spanish conquistador Hernando de Soto, who arrived in 1540 uninvited, and the diseases his men carried that took between half and 3/4 of our people in a single century. We survived the British wars. We survived Andrew Jackson. We won in the Supreme Court and kept fighting when the ruling was ignored. We walked the trail where they cried, buried 1 in 4, and rebuilt our government in a strange land. We survived the boarding schools, and we are still here. Sequoia gave us a written language in 1821. That language is being taught today. The Cherokee Phoenix launched in 1828. The Cherokee Nation News publishes today in both English and Cherokee. A nation told it had no right to exist has been here longer than any nation that claimed this land. The principal people are still here. You know our story now. Not the half of it that appears in textbooks. Not the version that starts with suffering and skips over 3,000 years of living. The full story. And now, it belongs to you. Use it well. Hold it carefully. And when someone says they know American history, ask them what they know about the Cherokee. Listen to what they say. And if they only know the Trail of Tears, hand them episode 1 and say, start here. Because the wound is not where the story begins. My grandfather used to end every story by going quiet, letting the silence fill the space where the words had been. And then he would say, the land remembers. The question is, do you? We have walked through 4 episodes together. 3,000 years in 4 sittings. I want to ask you one final question, and I want you to answer it in the comments. Of everything in this entire series, all 4 episodes, what is the one thing that changed something in you? What do you see differently now about this land, about whose it is, about what was here before, about what was done, about what continues? Leave it below. I read every single one. And if you are Cherokee, if you have been watching these 4 episodes with your own family's history present in every frame, thank you for being here. If we got something wrong, if we missed something that matters, if there is something you wish the world understood that I did not say clearly enough, please tell me. This work grows by listening. If this 4-part series gave you something real, something you will carry. Please hit like on this final episode. Every like tells the platform that this history deserves to reach more people. Subscribe to Indigenous Echoes, because next week a new series begins. A new people, a new story, a new set of things your school almost certainly never taught you. Each series we go deep, no surface, no shortcut. Just the full story, told by those who carry it. Share this series, not a repost. Message someone directly. Say, I think this will matter to you. That is how lost histories come back into the world. One person, passing a story to another. That is what Kanuna Asgaya has been doing here. What his grandfather did before him. What Sequoia did, in his own way, when he gave our words their wings. Your small action, a share, a message, a subscription, it is part of that same long chain. Thank you for 4 episodes. Thank you for sitting with me in this telling. This is history. This is our story. This matters.